It's really silly to talk about what's the most important organ, because could you live without your brain or your heart or your lungs? I don't know. But you definitely couldn't live without your liver. In my last video, we discussed atorvastatin, which works in the liver to help bring down cholesterol in the blood. Sadly, it could actually damage the liver, and the liver has a lot going on. Is taking prescription drugs that could impair your liver worth the gamble? Welcome to Space of Love Health. I'm Caitlin Simonette, a registered nurse who spent the last 6 years in ERs all across America, so you don't have to. Some say the liver is the most important organ in the body. It's definitely the largest. It's the ringleader for the circus that is your metabolism and all kinds of other functions. As the team leader of metabolism, the liver synthesizes carbs, proteins, fats, vitamins, and creates that gunky green juice called bile that hangs out in the gallbladder until the small intestine asks for its help with digesting fats. The liver detoxifies everything that we introduce into our internal ecosystem, like those 5 shots of tequila or 5 grams of Tylenol, and more than 90% of all prescription drugs. The kidneys pick up the slack on the other 10%. When I get the urge to eat something junky, I think about what might my liver tell me if he could talk. Caitlin, do you really need a handful of potato chips? You know I've got to process all that, right? Speaking of, the liver is responsible for keeping an inventory of ingredients that enable your blood to clot in case of emergency, so you don't bleed out from a paper cut or a table saw to the wrist. There is such a thing as scarring your liver tissue. When your liver gets damaged, bad things can happen. If your liver tissue goes from being a little scarred, yes, actually scarred, to full-on fibrotic, which means it's permanently hard after sustaining long-term damage that outpaces its regenerative abilities, you can turn yellow, gain weight, lose your mind, and bleed out. Let's break it down. Turning yellow may not sound all that bad, especially if it means you get to have mimosas at Sunday brunch. Bilirubin is what's responsible for this. It's a yellow compound produced as a byproduct of the liver's routine disposal of crusty old red blood cells. They only have a lifetime of 3 months. Normally, the liver would just glue it to bile and send it on its way down through the digestive tract. A damaged liver can't do that anymore. So bilirubin builds up in your body and turns you yellow. Liver fibrosis also leads to blockages in the lazy river that takes blood from the liver back up to the heart for fresh oxygen. This has a cascading effect that makes our blood vessels extra beefy and extra leaky. When fluid escapes from the lazy river and lands in other places, it can wind up in the lungs, the kidneys. That pressure can build up all the way from your liver up to your esophagus, which will then cause the veins in your throat to be bulging out, ready to pop any second. When they do pop, I have bad news. Your liver can't help you anymore. By this point, that inventory of blood clot ingredients is running dangerously low, and the likelihood of dying from blood loss, in this case, can approach 70% in later stages. Lastly, we have ammonia. You may know this is a household cleaning product. Ammonia is also a chemical compound produced by our gut bacteria. A healthy liver converts ammonia to urea to be packaged up in the kidneys and peed out as urine. When the liver is damaged and can no longer do that job well, or at all, ammonia hangs out in the body for too long and crawls its way to the central nervous system, where it wreaks havoc and causes muscle tremors, slurred speech, confusion, coma, and death. So, what's the #1 cause of liver disease in the Western world today? Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Prevalence of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is only on the rise due to increasing obesity rates as we experience this epidemic as a society. The good news is we can eat our way out of liver disease. This is part of what makes me so passionate about creating individualized, plant-based meal plans for my patients, because there is a way to eat deliciously and keep your liver happy. If you're interested in making some liver-friendly tweaks to your daily diet, check out the link for our medical practice, Emerald Oak, in the show notes. I'd love to hear from you. How many of you knew that the liver regenerates? When I learned that in nursing school, I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Did you hear anything else that surprised you? Until next time, stay happy and healthy, everybody. Blah, blah, blah. Lastly, the liver, la, 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 la.